Test, test. How's everyone today? Oh, let's try again. How's everyone today? Welcome to FGCU Storytelling. And my class is over here. Thank you all for being here. Yay. And my class is over here too. And thank you for the guests coming today. A couple things to remember for your cell phones, if you could turn them to silent or vibrate so they don't disturb anybody. And then just a word of gratitude to the Wasmer Art Gallery for being our venue, the Seidler Foundation for paying for food, and our speaker today. So thank you for the money, financial support. And also a thank you to the Department of Language and Literature for creating this series and supporting the programming. And of course, a round of applause for yourselves. Thanks for being our audience. So I want to start by just welcoming our speaker, storyteller today is Kuniko Yamamoto. She is an origami artist, a performer and storyteller. She does magic tricks too. And her storytelling I first saw on the stage of the Florida Storytelling Festival, where she wowed me with her stories. And her origami as well, incorporated into her stories. Today we have more family stories as well from Japan. So she's from Sarasota, so she's local. We'll have plenty of other opportunities to see her, and I hope you will come back to more of the storytelling events. My students have a showcase coming up. Anyone remember the date? Wednesday before 17th, I think, out on the Veterans Pavilion. They'll be telling history stories, stories as healing. All right. Y'all ready for the storytelling? Yeah! Let's welcome Kuniko.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me show you some of the buzzword out of me, origami. A piece of paper. And not only a piece of paper, it's a story builder we practiced. So I got the story out of this, and it started from a piece of paper. And I looked at it, and then I said, once upon a time, oh, it's me. From Osaka, because this shape is just like the shape of Osaka City on the map, like a square. And I grew up there, I went to school, just like you did. But the difference is, we walked. Japanese all walk to our school. Walking, walking, yay. On the way home, I saw a truck. Hey, I haven't seen that huge truck. And behind the truck, there was a pyramid. I had never seen that pyramid either. I had to investigate. I opened a gate. There was nothing. But on the bottom, there was a soft opening. Ah! Sucked me in. Kite flew me to the sky. And in the sky, I met a superhero, Superman. And the Superman invited me to his spaceship. In the spaceship, who was there? Who was there? King was there. And looking down the earth, too much violence on earth. So he wished for peace on earth. He made 100 paper cranes, 200 paper cranes, because in Japan we say that if you fold 1,000 paper cranes, your wish would come true. 300, 400. His wish came true yet? Not yet. Maybe he didn't finish 1,000 because peace on earth is not here yet. The thing is, never give up until you make 1,000. I have a special origami in my hand. It's not only one piece of paper, but more. Let's count together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hey, it's too easy for you. Let's count in Japanese. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. 6 million years ago, in a massive universe, a planet was born. A tree grew on the planet. More trees grew. A flower blossomed. More flowers filled the planet with beauty. The sky embraced them all as one. Time passed. The wind blew. Something grew inside. Do you know what they are? Butterflies. Butterflies are the symbol of life. They come and go and show us a circle of life, just like ours. Come, Kuni-chan. はい、おいでおいでおいで。お昼ご飯作ってあげよう。My grandma talked like that. Come to lunch, Kuni-chan. When you are done with origami, Grandma gonna make lunch, sushi. You need a sushi mat to make sushi. And steamed rice. Make it flat. Bring me the fish. Now. Black seaweed to make your hair black. And then raw. You got the sushi raw. Everybody has this kitchen too. Because this is a versatile kitchen too. If you put it on the table, that's a sushi mat. And if you put it on the window, curtain. And if you are bored in the kitchen, who need a boo-boo player? Achoo! 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 You can be Jackie Chan. You never know how many things you can do with such a simple kitchen tool until you really explore. And then I think she's right about that. You never know until you really explore. I'm gonna explore the world of Sushimat. A gentle summer breeze blows through a bamboo curtain. With its warm, inviting light, it brings my childhood memories. Way out over rainbow, in the land of the rising sun, with new dawning day, another story has begun. villagers fish off the island coast to take a nourishment from the sea. Sakana, sakana, tsuku koro ni, sakana, sakana, tsuru koro yo. Fishermen worship at sea god's shrine. He protects the boat and keeps them free. Above, sun goddess watches all. Her guidance like a lantern light. With her mercy gleams gives life to hopes and dreams. Today, you and I, side by side, like two flags, a friendship of two nations. And fireworks to celebrate our future and history. These are the stories that I explored. Nobody has done it. That's why it was exciting. Sometimes storytelling is an easy deal. You just tell the story. Just hop on the stage and then tell the story like it is. That's beautiful too. But I thought maybe I will go to somewhere nobody has gone. I tried. And my theater background made me to go to somewhere different from storytellers go. And, you know, after all, it's nothing special. The only special thing was I explored. And then I found something. That's the value of this. And that's something I really cherish. So today, I showed you something I think something unusual that you may not see, but at the same time, you see it everywhere. But it means a lot to me. Okay, now I wanna show you my personal tales today. Usually I do a dragon tales, and then I do some magic tales, and those are fun stuff. But my new passion is personal tales. Do you guys know the difference between personal tales and folk tales? You guys know, right? Okay. And then I hope this is something that you get inspired. So the first tale I'm gonna tell is funny tale. I'm gonna ask you to laugh when you think it's funny. I don't want you to be polite, because it helps. If you don't laugh when it's funny, I feel very alone here. You know what I'm saying? I think it's funny, but you don't. Okay, I'll go on. I feel lonely, so please help me out. I'm 63 years old, and I don't want to be lonely here. You understand? Okay, very good. I want to tell you about my uncle. And then everybody has uncle's story, because uncles are funny. But you will have, every family has funny uncle, one or two. And then in my case, this uncle who really liked to sing, and he is a politician. He was a mayor in a small town in Japan. That's the beginning of this story. And in the beginning of this story, you hear this song. And then you hear this from miles away, and then you know he is coming. And then usually he is coming to parties. Remember, I said that he's a politician, right? And a politician is the man of people, yeah? In other words, party animal. So he hits every corner party. And that's a bad news for kids. We kids at the party, he does such a thing, and we don't like him. You know what he does? What he does is he pop up at the party, and then usually we have a big fruits basket. And then in that fruits basket, we always have persimmon. And the persimmon, have you had a persimmon? Some of you not. Persimmon is a lot like somewhere between peach and apple, maybe. And then something about the persimmon. Inside, there's a big pit inside. It's big. It's about, what size is that? Like this coin size and round, and then 4 or 5 of them is inside. And then he does this game or trick. So he eats it and then keeps the seed, pits, in his mouth. Maybe he will eat one more, so he has maybe like almost 10 of the pits in his mouth. And then he hides himself behind the counter. He's waiting on the kids, us. So we kids just pop up the party, and then we come in, and then he will pop up, and then he goes, pop, 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 pop. And then we kids are like, ow, 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 stop, uncle. And then he always do that. And then sometimes we just go like this. Maybe he doesn't know. And then we can just pass the kitchen. No, he just senses it. And then he just pops up and then pop, 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 pop. And we kids are tired of this. And then one day we said we're going to do revenge. Hands in hand, 6 of us, we decided to revenge to our uncle. We come in early to this party. We eat persimmon and then keep the pits. And then 6 of us, behind under the counter. And then when he comes in, we pop up and go, and it all goes onto my uncle's head. Ow, 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 Ben. He passed out. We looked at his head. Oh, it looked like a purple and blue and swollen, like all the pits went into his head. And then emergency came, and the emergency took him to the hospital. We felt so bad, and then we felt good. Few days later, and then he was just walking down the street. Oh, he's just fine. He came back. And then we just look at him and we bow to him. His head is kind of still puffed up a little bit. And then he's kind of big on the head. And then I swear on the bottom there was a sprout was coming out. And but he's got the hair, so we couldn't tell. And then the next week, we saw a stalk coming out of his head, because he's always walking around, and he's walking around this, and then we just look at him, and then nobody has the courage to say, and then we just look at him, and then we just step back. And soon or later, it was getting bigger, and then big stalk on his head. Something is growing on his head. And now, you would think he would know by this time. Yes? And look at the mirror, and yeah, stalk is on my head, something is growing, right? He's a politician, and he's a mayor. One more term is coming by voting, and there's an opposite candidate is on the other side of the town. It's gonna be a competition to get the vote. He needs a lot of good luck. Killing a living thing is a bad luck. So he didn't want to cut it. He wanted to grow. He couldn't help it. And then it was growing and then growing on his head. And now it's a tree on his head. What kind of tree is that? Of course, persimmon tree, because it bore a fruit on the tree on his head. Oh, that was the sweetest thing he've ever had. He gave it to the others. The other people said, I see. And he became popular, and then popular because of the magnificent persimmon fruits. And then he was so happy, he's getting so popular. But somebody is unhappy. On the other side of the town, opposite candidate. He's getting all the vote from that silly tree on his head. He hired Yakuza Mafia gang to cut that tree. When he was sleeping in the bed, in the futon, Yakuza Mafia gang broke in to his house with a chainsaw. He was so scared, but he didn't know what to do because this is a Yakuza gang, mafia. You don't know what they do to you. And then he just went into the tree. Young cut. And then it just left on a stump on his head. He was sad. It's all gone. But it's a stump on his head. He did the stump speech. If you don't laugh here, I'm mad. Yeah, so he did the stump speech. He felt something so nice, smelled like a citrus, but at the same time like a flower, rose, all that. Matsutake mushroom grew on the stump. Matsutake mushroom is the most exquisite mushroom in Japan. And then it's just a little bit, little piece. It goes $1,000. He sold it to the people. And he got a lot of money. And then more mushroom, and then more money. And he was getting more money, more and more money, which was great for the politician because they need a lot of money for the campaign. He was really happy. But you know who is not happy is the mafia opposite candidate And then, so they broke in to his house, this time with a rope. Try to pull the stump out of his head. The stump was taken away from his head, and it left a big hole on his head. He was so sad, but it's okay. And then the rainy season came. Every day it rained on him, and then the water went into the stump. No, the hole from the stump, a big hole on his head, and it became a lake on his head. People come to swim now, it's nice. And on the lake shore, people do barbecuing. Some kids, for the convenience, peed in it, pooed on it. Stunk so bad, and then everybody having great time, and then it was getting hot, that the barbecue grill is so hot, and then at the same time he was so frustrated, and then he was getting mad, and then out of the madness he was getting really hot, and the steam came out of his ear, steam came out of his nose, and then he couldn't stand it anymore, and he jumped into his lake. And since then, nobody has seen him. That's the story of my uncle. So that story is a mix of my real story of my uncle, who was politician and who was party animal. And then a part of the tree that comes from rakugo. Rakugo is a Japanese traditional comedy theater. So there's short stories of funny stories just like that. And then I combined. And then that turned into my big lie story to tell. And now let's switch a little bit. The personal tale of my another uncle. My mother had four wonderful brothers, and my mom was really youngest, and the four brothers were much older. The oldest had 12 years older than her, so she was always a baby girl. And I like to tell you the story about the oldest uncle who went to World War II. I want to refresh your mind. World War II was the latest war to Japan, the last war that ended 1945. And that was 8 years of the long, many years battle. So he was, my oldest uncle, I interviewed him. I really went after him because I know he went to the war from 18 years old, and he came back when he was 26 years old. That was a long time, and his youth was taken away from that because that was a serious many years, the torture of the 6-8 years. I wanted to hear more about that. So this is my interview project. I went back to Japan, and then I went to see my uncle, and then, uncle, can I hear World War II story? What was it like? He didn't want to talk about it. And my uncle, his Noboru uncle, he's a very square man. Unlike the party animal uncle I told you about, it's his opposite. He's very square man. And he's quiet, and he's a man of words. He only says it when he means it. He always wore a great hunting cap, looked great. and he had order-made suits. I don't remember seeing him t-shirt and jeans, that kind of casual look. I don't remember him. He was like my father, but he was always dressed up very formal. And then he talked formal, he acted formal, that kind of man. And then he took me to many wonderful places. Anyway, he's my favorite uncle. I thought he's gonna just tell me what was World War II like, because I asked. He didn't. And then next time I asked again. He didn't say. He said, I have nothing to talk about. And I got that shut down for about 6 years. But I didn't give up. I still wanted to hear that. And I was finally open my mouth when I was 40 years old. Uncle, I am 40 years old now, and then I'm a grown-up. And then I'm old enough to understand what it meant to you, and then I like to hear something about it. Otherwise, it's not going to be heard. We need a legacy. And then he said nothing. He just pretend he didn't hear it. And then his wife, my aunt, finally said, oh, tell her about that. And then what? And she was about to bring sake. And then it was a dinner time, and then he was drinking sake, and then he was loosening up, and then my auntie was loosening up, because that night we were celebrating my mother's birthday, so we were just drinking a little bit, and then my aunt had too much sake. I think she was drunk, and she doesn't talk like that usually, but she's just out of her comfort zone, and says, tell her about your Marilyn Monroe story. What? Marilyn Monroe? You touched her breast, didn't you? Tell her that. And then I brought sake. Uncle, have more sake, have more sake. And then he had more sake, and then he told me this story. So after the World War II, all the soldiers who came back to Japan had to work for the American base. And then there was Itami Airport, which is in the west side of Japan. And then there was an army. The American army was nested there. And then he was assigned to the, what is the word for it? The one on top, it's a tower. Control tower, was it? There's a name for it. It's a control tower that knows all the schedule of the flights, and then who is coming in, who is to leave, and then the control the traffic of the strip. And then one day he found out Marilyn Monroe and George DiMaggio's private jet was coming in next week. And then he was so looking forward to it, because Marilyn Monroe, he said, I saw his face when he said Marilyn Monroe. His face just kind of softened. And he described like a little lily flower. She came to the base with George DiMaggio. And then he still remembers it was coming in, and he was so excited. And then he was going to be the first one to see them. So he kept it secret. Nobody knows that little air jet is coming. Kept it secret. Don't let anybody know. So he is the only one going to meet Marilyn Monroe, the little lady. And that secret cannot be secret. It leaked all over. And then on the day they were coming, it was already 6 in the morning. Already the line of people, the rings of the American soldiers and the Japanese soldiers lined up to see them just coming out from the jet. And then he was in the very, very front of that line, because he went the earliest, and then he looked back, lines and lines and lines, and then he was kind of frustrated and mad. And then finally, when it came came in, even the police of the airport came in because all the rings of the people was moving forward and then forward. You know, like a outside concert, it goes forward until you cannot go any further. And then he was in the front, and then everybody tried to go in front of him, and he was going, this is my spot, and then trying to keep his possession. And then finally she was stepping down, and he was right in front of the step. She was coming in, and then all the rings was coming forward and then moving, and then he was pushed, and then when finally she was going down one step at a time with a beautiful white dress and then high heels, and then one step at a time. He could not hold it anymore. And then when she stepped the last step down, and then he just fell onto Marilyn Monroe's breast. And then he touched Marilyn Monroe's breast. That was his story about the Marilyn Monroe. Good. I'm going to write it down. Then he was a little more excited about telling me more stories, I guess. And then I asked him more to tell. And then he said, no. Those stories all happened in hell. This hell, I'm going to put it in here. Go with me to hell. So he would never talk about it. Then, one time, somehow, out of blue, he told me about this story because my mom died, and it was a shock to everyone because she died young, 72 years old, and for him, losing her was losing the world. He didn't care about the world anymore. My mom was so close to him because it was 12 years apart, and then when they were young, my grandfather died very young. So they did not, the father was not in the family, only grandma and then the 4 brothers and my mom. And they were such a loving family. I've never seen anybody like so loving. And he adored my mom so much like a baby girl. And then as a matter of fact, he called her Akachan, baby girl. Baby girl, come here. Baby girl, what's wrong? Baby girl. And then my mom loved him. And then when she was 5 years old, he was about to go to war as a soldier. And that day, he described this. He said like, so your mom was only 5 years old. Cried and then cried. Somehow she knew I was gonna be gone because I wore a uniform. This is a day I'm going to the train station. And I had to drag her to all the way to the train station. And your mom is, and then I told her, sing a song, your favorite song I sang with you. お手でつないで夜道を行けばみんなかわいい小鳥になって歌を歌えば靴が鳴る And he went to all the way to the New Guinea island. That time was the battle was Britain versus Japan. That was there were several battles going on, but what he was assigned was the battle in New Guinea against Britain. And then towards the end, Japan was ready to surrender. But you know what? It took 3 years for them to surrender. It was already bad condition. The number is uncertain, but already the Britain, they had 10 times as many of the battle airplanes. And then Japanese only had 4, 5. It's almost gone. There's no way to have this battle. And then after 3 years later, that was nothing. And then Japan surrendered, finally. It was so hot, so hot. I cannot describe the heat more than that. The heat all day long. And I was on the most west of the New Guinea island. And we had a telegram on the tree says, come back to the main camp. We knew we surrendered. We knew even before. So we were ready to go back. But one step at a time, it's hot, and it's so hot. Not too many was there. It was me and 2 more. One had 1 ear so badly lost, and then another one who had an injury on the arm. I'm the only one that had everything. And then I led them and then kept walking. And then all day long, I walked 8 hours, 9 hours. It's 24 miles more. And then there was a big river. That the Mote Mote Tank River. I don't know the name of it, but it's big. We had to cross. We went in, and then there was a rope, like a tree rope, and then I threw, and the first one go. I tried, but he could not swim well, and then all of a sudden current took him down, and he was sunken. He was gone. And then 2 of us went together, and then I just went with a rope. We were almost lost, but I managed to get up, and then another one with 1 arm, come on, up, up, up. It was the New Guinea tribe was standing right in front of me. They would eat us. They would kill us. They were against us because we are the one brought the fire. And then they were taken away to their tribe. He was tied on the tree, and then so was the another one. And then he doesn't know what happened to another one. But it was so hot, he was sweating, and then he lost all the water in his system, so he was getting thin and thin and thin, day after day after day, and then he could get out from the rope, and then he started walking, and then walking. And then by this time, I had to ask him, why everybody went to war like something they wanted to do? You know, some volunteers, some of the young soldiers volunteered to go to war. And then this is horrible. This is hell from his description. Why did you go? On the textbook in our school, in a history book, they say they went in the name of the emperor, in the honor of the emperor. For the emperor, they will sacrifice themselves happily. We read that. And my mom used to say that, you know, when I was little, we thought emperor was God, nothing but the God. And then we didn't think he go to bathroom. And then I laughed, right? I laughed. Are you serious, Mom? You thought the emperor don't go to bathroom? What kind of joke is that? And then my mom said, laugh as much as you want, but not believing is disobedience and disgrace. You cannot have that in your family. You believe in that. And my mom is a funny woman and usually just laugh out everything, but this time she was serious. So that is the story. I remembered. So I was interviewing to my uncle at the cafe, and then I asked him, did you really think you're gonna die for the emperor in the war? And he didn't say nothing. Did you really want it to die for the emperor? And he said the same thing. Not following that is a disgrace. That's the only thing he said. So at this point in the story, so did you just wanna just go through because of in the name of the emperor? And he didn't say anything. That was just only for survival. He had to go home. And then he was just walking and then walking and then walking. And on that coast, there was a red sunset, like the flag of Japan. And I am walking towards that. Are you thinking about doing this for the emperor? Walking until I get back. And then I close my eyes because I could not walk anymore. Even one more step and I would just die here. And then I opened my eyes for a second. You know what I saw in that red circle? Emperor? Did you see the emperor in there? No, I saw your mom's face right in that sunset. And then I walked towards that. And then I came home. This is a family story. It's not a war story. That's my family story to tell. Thank you. Maybe we will do question and answer for this.
Yes. So that the audience.
Online? What? Where? Where's the camera?
Oh, hey, y'all, online.
Yeah, I hear you there.
I didn't know y'all was online. So I wanted to ask, what part of Japan are you from?
I am from Osaka.
Okay, and then were you always living there? Was your family always living there? Okay.
Yeah. It's a little bit complicated because I told you the World War II story. I'll tell you actually they were in Osaka, and then when the World War II began, they went to the countryside, and then they stayed in the countryside for a while, and then they kind of went back and forth between. And then, so my grandma lived in a countryside, and then sometimes I lived in a countryside just with grandma because it was kind of fun for the city kid. Yeah.
Other questions?
What was your favorite part about growing up in Japan? Like, what is something that you miss since moving here?
Mm. The simple answer is food. I I don't miss people because I get to see them maybe once a year whenever I want to go. Japan and then America is not that far anymore, so that's fine. But the food I miss, I really do. And then what was a favorite thing as I was growing up in Japan? I think I liked playing outside until the sun goes down. It's a freedom. You know, you come home from the school, and then I like the school, but when I come home, just like a neighborhood kids, all kinds of kids are there. And then we just, we did um, balls, and then we did the chase each other, what do you call it, the tag. And we did all kinds of games. Sometimes when we found the basketball, we pretend we know basketball. We don't know anything about it, but we just kind of pretend. And we created our base camp with the junk. And then we just kind of pretend we were sleeping and that kind of stuff. And it just was such a great feeling. And then the sun goes down, and everybody's mom start calling you, come home, yeah, or just yell at them from the kitchen window, and then we just go home. I have a nostalgic memory of that.
What made you start storytelling, especially with incorporating like origami? And you said like you did a little like theater when you were younger. So how did you like came about to that?
From the theater to storytelling, there are several reasons, but the biggest was money. I told you that, did I tell you? So I first came to New York and I studied theater more. I wanted to do a pantomime. I wanted to do acting. And I went to audition after audition on Broadway. And I didn't get anything. And then I'm just spending money and time wasting it. And it doesn't look like I'm going to get any because of everything of me. So then I thought about, and then someone, my friends and my teacher, they told me like, do Japanese thing. And I didn't want to do Japanese thing. That's why I'm in America. But I had no choice. I had to try because everything I was failing. So what else is left was Japanese stuff. And I did it open mic, and I did the Japanese folk tale with a pantomime and talking and then everything I got. And I got standing ovation. And then I got the prize of $20 or something like that. And then I thought, oh, wow, I get money. And then that kind of gradually went up, like I started doing the show at the library and schools and in theater. And then I got money like $500, $1,000, $3,000. And then I felt good. Whoa, I can do this. And then for the money, I like Japanese stuff now. That was the beginning. And then my first 10 years was only for money. And then after 10 years, something happened to me, in me. I dug Japanese folktales. I learned a different perspective in each Japanese stories that I was sick and tired of it. It's actually, I found different things, and then I grew to love it. And the depth was there. And now I do love it.
Thank you so much for a most enlightening evening. And
Oh, thank you.
we're also children of World War II veterans, and we found that story very impactful. And your expression and the way you crafted the story, it was just beautiful. And there was so much love and joy in it, even though it was, some of it was a little difficult. Life is difficult, but the stories bring us closer together. So I just want to comment that this is the way we're going to heal the world. And your stories, your story and others, and our understanding of one another is the most powerful tool that's going to be, you know, it's going to matter. And so thank you so much for being part of the results of a good life. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for accepting that way. That I had one time, maybe that was my mistake. The very beginning of telling this story, I just go there, and I had people who just came to me after the show. My grandpa died in Pearl Harbor. That's all she said. And I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry to hear that. And I didn't have more to say. She's American. She was in Hawaii, and it could be in that perspective, but the story I was really stricken was that he didn't die for the emperor. He wanted to die, or he wanted to live for my mom, for his baby sister. When you are in a life and death moment, what is the last thing come to your head? It's not the emperor, it's not the honor, it's your baby sister. That really, really hit me. And then I treasure this.
Other comments or questions for Kuniko?
I thought it was real. I haven't seen anyone incorporate origami and the props the way that you did. I thought it was really amazing. What gave you that idea to start doing that? Because that's so special. That was a really fun thing to experience as the audience.
I think it's something you can relate to this. So I was just like you, fresh out of the school, and then trying to make a career out of it. And then I know not many of you want to make a career out of storytelling or theater. Is there anyone who is thinking about career out of fine arts? You do? Okay.
I'm a visual artist.
Oh, okay. And then when you are fresh out of the school, you don't have experience. I didn't. And then I had nothing. It's just a naked start. So what can I do? And my storytelling is pathetic, it's lame. I knew it for some reason. So then I thought, maybe I will add something. So I will be in a different ring. I'm not competing with so many amazing storytellers. I don't want to compete here. So I wanted to just kind of step out of it. And then some of the storyteller tells me, that's not storytelling because you are using stuff. Some people said that to me. And then I said, that's okay. I'm okay with it. But I had to make my competition on my own. I have to win sometimes for something with such a not having anything, fresh start. So that was out of my struggle from the beginning. And then I keep adding masks. I kept music, and then I kept this, and then put that, and then I put that together. Somehow it went together.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Kuniko, I'm curious about, it seems so brave in your 20s to leave Japan for a theater career in New York. And it's like, how did you get that idea? And was that, like, did you have other people come with you and support you in New York? Or how did that work?
I didn't have anything. Young and full, that was what I had. And this was like this. One day, I had a kind of feeling, when I'm graduating college, what am I going to do to make living? And then I had some internship at the advertisement agency, but I didn't think I could do that. I still wanted to do the theater. And then I thought about, Osaka is not going to do it. And then Tokyo, I didn't want to go to Tokyo. Tokyo is so snobby, and I don't like them. You know, we were like New York and LA. We have a baseball team, and then we have a different theater styles, and we were just like this. So I don't want to go to Tokyo. I go somewhere. And then that was the beginning. And then I didn't think twice about, do I speak English? Whoa, I don't. But I go. And then I went. Do I know anybody in New York? I don't. And somehow it wasn't a big deal. I found a theater teacher who teaches in Maine, South Paris in Maine, and Tony Montanaro, who was a giant actor, mime. I really liked his work, so I wanted to study under him. That's all I got. That's all I got. And then I just flew to New York, and then went to Maine, and then I stayed in New York. I didn't know anybody, and then that was a very wild start. But I was glad if I knew some Japanese people, I would not speak English to them. So I made a bunch of American friends. I jumped into it. And that's what I asked for. And now I was happy. I made many, many mistakes though. Oh, struggles and mistakes, you name it, I had it. But somehow it was fun.
For my students, I'm curious if you have a moment that stuck with you from Kuniko's performance, and or the stories, or something about her performance today that you'd like to comment on.
I really like the sushi mat, like what you were doing with it. I've never seen that before, so it really impacted me a lot. I'm gonna try to search up some YouTube videos of it.
Cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, and I was actually gonna ask like how you learned that you could do that. Like, did someone show you when you were younger? Did you kind of figure it out? How like that come to light?
This is a traditional sushi mat work. Was a vaudevillian work in 18th century, and the trick was there. And then 18th century of Japan was a very military shogun life, and people in the village suffered because of the high tax. They didn't have anything to eat every day, but they had to find some entertainment. That's why Japanese traditional entertainment uses like tea kettles, umbrellas, something you have already. And vaudevillian act in that surplus time was vibrant, wonderful. So this one is still popular, even modern days. I shouldn't say popular, it's fading out. I saw it one day in Osaka. The comedian goes like this, asate, asate, sate wa nankin tamasu dare, sa da da la 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 la, osaki wa nan tomo na, nan tomo nan tomo nan tomo na, the fishing pole. Asate, asate, asate wa nankin tamasu dare. お先は何と言いまして、お先は何と言いましょうか。さて、さて、what is this? What is this? It's a shrine, 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 huh? Thank you, thank you. Oh, さて、さて, and then keep going. And then I thought, this itself is so cool, but the song he was singing was terrible. And I don't want to do that. So I was talking to my fellow Japanese storyteller, Motoko. And then Motoko said, maybe poetry. Yeah, I want to do poetry. And then she and her partner wrote up the poetry for this. And then I thought, I want to make something beautiful song behind it. And then I got this music, and then it came together.
I really liked how you incorporated your theater background into your stories, that I felt like I was watching a movie and not just hearing one of your stories, and I thought it was really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
I liked how you talked about like your uncles and like your family, because my bachan recently just passed, and it just made me reminisce about all like the way she would talk. It was very similar to how your family talked, and it just made me think about all the memories I have with her.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, people really like to hear that. I did not know when I was young what is so great about this, but actually, it's everybody's favorite when you talk about bachan, ji-chan, ka-chan, to-chan, that kind of. And then I really think the world, the people in all over the world have the same reaction to the different language. Like you say bachan, and then they just kind of smile. They understand the feeling of the bachan. Bachan is a grandma, and the ji-chan, grandpa. I hope you kind of do that.
My favorite story was the one about your uncle who was a politician. How did you come up with the kind of the creative aspect of it, of like there suddenly be like a tree on his head and then it's turned into a lake? Like how did that just kind of come in your mind at one point?
Okay, so that story was already there in the Rakugo theater. So this man had a tree, and then the ending is variety. So I had to pick and choose, and then so the main part was already written as a traditional tale, and then I just added. Is that a question you're asking? Yeah, and then that part, at the beginning, I thought about just telling the story of that as like a, once upon a time, there was a man who, and then he doesn't sing, he's not politician, and he doesn't do a party trick. And then I thought at the beginning, so this man, one day, I think he fell, but at the bottom of the persimmon tree. And then the persimmon fell onto his head, and then the pits went to his head. And then he happened to have that story. And then I thought, who would fall by the persimmon tree? I can't explain that. And then I thought, maybe. And then I had to think about, so the beginning of my uncle singing, and then kiss, and the persimmon, those are something I created. But you know what? It came out so quick somehow.
I really enjoyed the net and the origami throughout the story. I feel like it was so very visually appealing, and it just was very strong when it came to the stories that you were telling. I feel like it was one of the more stronger bits of your storytelling, and it helps present what you're going through, if that makes sense. Like, I just figured it was just very, very memorable. And it was probably one of the best parts of the storytelling for me.
Thank you.
I also enjoyed the entire story. I thought it was very interesting. I've never seen anything like this before, so I was very captivated. Is that the right word? Like, very into it. So thank you for taking the time to show us, and you did very well. So thank you.
Also, I just wanted to show another appreciation of like sharing your culture with us, and also something that like I really liked was the butterflies. I'm a big origami fan, and I love to do origami. And I knew when you were talking about the cranes, about like the 1,000 cranes, and it kind of like brought back like a nostalgic memory of me and my mom like doing origami together, and now I have to go back home and do it again because that was really cool.
I really found it so powerful, the story that you told about your uncle that went to war. When you started that story, I thought I was going to hear something completely different, and I think it was so important to hear different components of that, because now I'm just sitting here thinking about that moment with him looking at the sun, and that image won't leave my mind. It's so beautiful. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's already talked about like the origami and the sushi mat, but I felt that it was like really interactive, and sometimes when I'm just listening to someone talk, my mind will wander, but because there was like a visual interactive component, I really enjoyed that and was able to stay engaged.
Thank you.
I really liked it. I thought it was so fun. I think my favorite was the paper origami that you spun and everything. That was really cool. And yeah, it was really cool to listen to, and your stories were so inspiring and entertaining.
Thank you.
I completely loved your story. I think you're very great. I liked your sense of humor. Yeah, it was pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you. And you know, today I had a class for those group of students, and every story is so you. I really liked it. That you didn't try to make it artificial. You didn't try to borrow somebody's, and that was such a beautiful thing. And we were just chatting, and then I enjoyed so much out of you. Thank you. It was so inspiring.
And our guests, you're not forced to, but if you have any comments, no? Okay. Let's give another round of applause. Kuniko Yamamoto.
Thank you for having me. He has been making such a great movement in Florida storytelling scene. So you are really learning under the best. So lucky you.
Thank you all. See you at the next one. FGCU Storytelling.com.